Hello everyone, Father John from St. Ignatius with you on Ascension Sunday. It used to be Ascension Thursday, of course, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But first of all, let us just have a little reflection on the lockdown. How have you been doing? How have your family and those you love have been doing? The longer term question is, what will we all and you take out of this lockdown and build into our lives for a better future? As we return in some senses to normal, our children have returned to school this week, business is beginning to open up, and also at the same time we look forward with apprehension to what the economic future may be, and therefore the social future for our families and our nation. So the idea of pausing and reflecting and choosing the right path for ourselves is quite significant. The word 40 days has a long history of meaning in the Bible. Just 3. In the first instance, the Jewish people wandered a symbolic 40 years in the desert before they entered the promised land. Jesus, before he began his public ministry, spent 40 days in the desert, working out the cost, I'm sure, of what it would mean for him to begin his ministry. And here in the early church, the experiences of the risen Jesus at some point ceased, and symbolically that was expressed by the 40 days. And then the Christians, like us looking back, had to work out exactly what has happened. And as they did, they looked at the whole Jesus event, and in that experience and looking back, they came to the conclusion that God has visited us. That God, whom no one can know, has revealed God's own self to us in someone like us, so that we can then understand that the true revelation of God is his love, and that the intention of God to enter into our lives is that we might have life and communion with God and each other. Now, also in this picture, the universe entered, because we cannot think of anyone without a world around us. Ascension means a 3-storied universe. Here, Sheol, or the underworld beneath, and heaven above. So Jesus ascends, but in the reading of the gospel, he tells us that he is with us always. 2 places. In the Middle Ages, the changing view of the universe also led to changes in the way we understood ourselves and Jesus in his life. And in a modern day, as we contemplate the immensity of the universe, Catholic physicists and theologians look at God as creator as infinitely more amazing than we could ever imagine. And looking at the Jesus event, and particularly the death and resurrection, we see that somehow the immensity of God has now entered into our existence, and that somehow for us resurrection and ascension means that we move into a new relationship, not only with God, but with the whole cosmos. In the end, we are stardust, but in the gospel understanding, we are people who are eternally loved, called into being, and eternally loved by God, and made by God for each other, for our world, our earth, and our universe, and to live in the fullness of life with Jesus. This is the bigger picture that we find in the second reading, the letter to the Ephesians, where Jesus sits down at the right hand of God and far above principalities and powers, who were, as it were, seemed to dwell, suprahuman powers that lived in between God at the top and who ran the earth with their authorities. So God then is revealed as the creator of all, and has given Jesus a place at his right hand where no one can sit. So every time we celebrate the Easter event, we finish up with an incredible vision of the universe absolutely filled with the love and the presence of God. And that presence of God is mediated to us continually by the presence of one just like us, Jesus, who is with us and who shares our low points and our high points and our lockdown. Jesus in the Gospel tells us to go and baptize people into the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. It's not just a ritual sign, it's into the reality or into the nameless name of God, whereby we enter into the depths of our Easter experience. And in human terms, we look back upon lockdown and we look forward to the future with hope, knowing that He is with us. May that be our consolation, our hope to keep us going, and our challenge and inspiration to take something out of this lockdown, and if nothing else, a growth in deep, deep love.